I never imagined that a Sunday dinner would destroy my family forever. What happened that night changed everything. And the worst part, no one saw it coming. You know that moment when you realize you've known someone your entire life, but actually knew nothing at all? That was exactly it. My sister-in-law, the person I considered a second sister, was about to reveal a side of her I could never have predicted. The silence that settled in the room after those words still echoes in my mind. Because there are things that, once said, can never be forgotten. There are lines that, once crossed, destroy bridges that took years to build. And that Sunday night, under the soft dining room light, with the smell of food still hanging in the air, one of those lines was crossed. Brutally. Irreversibly. Let me tell you from the beginning, because you need to understand how we got there. You need to understand that ordinary people, in seemingly normal situations, can harbor deadly secrets. Secrets that destroy. Secrets that kill relationships. And the scariest part, you might be living next to someone like that right now, without the slightest idea. My sister-in-law's name is Helena. 32 years old, brown hair always impeccably styled, a smile that lit up any room. She had been married to my brother Lucas for 8 years. They seemed like the perfect couple. You know those movie couples? The ones you look at and think, I want what they have. That was exactly it. Lucas had been in love with her since day one. He told stories about how they met, about their first kiss, about the marriage proposal, with that sparkle in his eyes that only true love can provoke. And Helena seemed to return every ounce of that feeling. Or at least that's what we all believed. Sunday family dinners were sacred to us. Since our parents passed away 3 years ago, Lucas and I maintained this tradition as a way to honor their memory. Every week, without fail, we gathered for dinner. Sometimes at my house, sometimes at his. That fateful Sunday, it was their turn to host. I arrived around 7 in the evening with my wife Carolina and our 2 children, Miguel, 6 years old, and Sophia, 4. The kids ran into the house, excited as always, while I carried a dessert that Carolina had prepared. The house was perfect. Helena always had a special talent for creating welcoming environments. Scented candles burned softly. The table was set with that beautiful china she saved for special occasions, and ambient music completed the atmosphere. Lucas greeted me with a tight hug and that wide smile. Everything seemed absolutely normal. Absolutely perfect. But there's something about tragedies. They always happen on the most ordinary days, when our guard is completely down. Dinner started with light conversation. We talked about work, vacation plans, a trip that Lucas and Helena were planning for their wedding anniversary. The kids ate quickly and went to play in the living room, and the 4 of us stayed at the table, with that pleasant conversation that only happens between people who love each other. That's when Carolina casually mentioned that she had run into Amanda, an old friend of Helena's, at the supermarket. Amanda had asked about Helena, saying she missed her and that it would be good to meet for coffee someday. Carolina thought it was strange that Helena didn't have Amanda's updated number, since they used to be so close. Helena's face changed. It was subtle, but I saw it. An almost imperceptible contraction around her eyes, her lips pressing together for a fraction of a second. She took a sip of wine, and said she had distanced herself from Amanda because she was too gossipy and invasive. Lucas seemed surprised by this, commenting that he always thought Amanda was nice in the few encounters they'd had. Helena was categorical, with a harsher tone than necessary. You don't know her like I know her. And she quickly changed the subject, asking if anyone wanted more wine. But Carolina, not realizing she had touched a sensitive spot, continued. She said that Amanda seemed genuinely concerned, that she mentioned trying to reach Helena several times without success. That's when Helena let out a short, almost aggressive laugh and said, Amanda needs to learn to respect boundaries. The mood at the table had changed. That light and cozy atmosphere from minutes ago had given way to palpable tension. Lucas looked at Helena with a confused expression, as if he were seeing a person he didn't recognize. Carolina, finally sensing the discomfort, tried to smooth things over by saying she didn't know there was a problem between them, and wouldn't bring it up again. That's when Helena put her wine glass on the table harder than necessary, and said something that made time stop. "You know what the problem is with you people? You think you know people. You think you know everything about me, about my life, about who I am. But you know nothing." The silence that followed was deafening. Lucas tried to touch her hand, saying softly, "Honey, what's going on?" But she pulled her hand away forcefully. And then came the bomb. Helena looked directly at Lucas and said with a coldness that cut through the air like a blade, "You want to know why I distanced myself from Amanda? Because she discovered something. Something I didn't want anyone to know. And she judged me. Like all of you are going to judge me now." Lucas was pale. I felt my stomach turn. Carolina grabbed my hand under the table. The children were laughing in the next room, oblivious to the hurricane that was about to devastate our family. The first problem had revealed itself there, in that moment. Helena wasn't who we thought she was. But the second problem, the truly devastating one, was still to come. And when it came, when those words were spoken, I understood that some things in life have no return. Some secrets are so forbidden, so destructive, that they permanently alter the reality of everyone around them. Helena took a deep breath and began to speak. She told us that 3 years ago, shortly after our parents' death, she had met someone. A man. She didn't say his name, only that he was different from anything she had ever known. That he made her feel alive in a way she had never experienced. Lucas was completely motionless, his eyes fixed on her, as if watching a horror movie. She continued, saying the affair lasted 6 months. 6 months of lies, elaborate excuses, conscious and calculated betrayal. Amanda had discovered it by chance, seeing her with this man at a restaurant in another city. She confronted Helena, who begged for silence. Amanda agreed but distanced herself, unable to live with that truth. But that wasn't all. Helena wasn't confessing out of remorse or guilt. She was confessing because she was tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of being the perfect wife, the loving sister-in-law, the person everyone admired. She said, with disturbing calm, that she had never loved Lucas the way he deserved to be loved. That she married him because it seemed like the right choice, because he was stable, reliable, good. But that was never enough. That she always felt something was missing. And that man, that forbidden affair, had shown her what it really meant to live. Lucas didn't cry. Didn't yell. He simply stood up from his chair and left the room. The sound of his footsteps going up the stairs echoed like gunshots. Carolina was in shock, tears silently streaming down her face. And me? I was torn between absolute rage and deep sadness. Rage because Helena had destroyed my brother. Sadness knowing that family, that core we were trying to preserve after our parents' death, had been shattered. Helena looked at me and said something that haunts me to this day. "I know you hate me now. Everyone will hate me. But I needed to be honest. I can't live a lie anymore." I got up and went after my brother. Carolina grabbed the kids, who thankfully hadn't heard anything, and went to the car. I found Lucas sitting on the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. When he saw me, he only asked, "How didn't I notice?" There was no answer to that. Because sometimes the people we love carry entire worlds inside them that we never see. Secret worlds. Dangerous worlds. The following days were a blur. Lucas filed for divorce immediately. Helena left the house and went to live with a friend. The process was quick and brutal. Lucas didn't want to prolong the suffering. I tried to be present, but it was difficult. Seeing my brother, who had always been strong and confident, completely destroyed, was unbearable. He lost weight, stopped sleeping properly, threw himself into work as a way to escape the pain. And the question he asked most was always the same. What did I do wrong? The real answer, which I never had the courage to say directly, was nothing. He had done nothing wrong. Sometimes the people we love simply don't love us the same way. And that's not our fault. Helena tried to reach out to me a few weeks later. She sent messages saying she needed to talk, that she wanted to explain better. I ignored them. There was nothing she could say that would change what she had done. There was no justification, no matter how elaborate, that would erase that night, that confession, that deliberate destruction of a life. Carolina thought I should at least listen, but I couldn't. The anger was still too strong. The feeling of betrayal, not just to Lucas, but to our entire family, was unbearable. 6 months later, Lucas started therapy. It was the best decision he could have made. Slowly, very slowly, he began to rebuild himself. He met new people, started genuinely smiling again, began to believe he could find love again. Today, 2 years after that night, he's in a new relationship with a woman named Julia, who is everything Helena never was: honest, transparent, genuinely passionate. And he's happy. Not in the same way as before, because scars like that never completely disappear, but he found a new version of happiness. As for Helena, I heard she moved to another state, that she's with someone new. Part of me hopes she found what she was looking for. But another part, the part that still carries anger and hurt, hopes she understands one day the real cost of brutal honesty without compassion. Because there are ways to be honest that don't destroy. There are ways to end relationships that preserve the dignity of those we love. She chose the cruelest way possible. What did I learn from all this? That people are complex. That seemingly perfect marriages can hide abysses of dissatisfaction. That secrets, no matter how well guarded, always find a way to surface. And that some lines, when crossed, allow no return. Helena crossed that line. And she lost an entire family in the process. She lost my brother, she lost me, she lost Carolina, she lost the children who called her aunt and adored her. If you're watching this and recognize yourself at any point in this story, whether as Helena, hiding deadly secrets, or as Lucas, living an illusion, know this: the truth always wins. Always. You can postpone it, you can lie, you can build increasingly higher walls around your secrets. But one day, at some random Sunday dinner, in a seemingly innocent conversation, everything collapses. And when it collapses, the people around you are buried in the rubble. The question that remains is it worth it? Is it worth keeping secrets that corrode from within? Is it worth living a lie until the breaking point? Helena would say yes, that she needed to be honest with herself. But looking from the outside, seeing the destruction she caused, the answer seems obvious: no. It's never worth it. So let me ask you one final question, one you need to answer with brutal honesty. Do you really know the people around you? That perfect partner, that friend of years, that family member you'd swear you knew inside and out? Because I also thought I knew Helena. We all thought we did. And we were completely wrong. Completely blind. If this can happen to us, it can happen to anyone. Even to you.